Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I have students ask me a lot of times how to fix your brush once those bristles have started fraying. There are some simple answers, but then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll go ahead and just do a demo. We'll try out some of the different techniques. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, this is not a scientific method, as my brushes are not equal. Some are more frayed than others, some are older than others, the brands are different. So all of those things are going to be a factor and play a part in whether these techniques work really well or not. All right, so let's dive in and get started. How frustrating is that when you go to paint and your brushes, your little bristles are all sticking out in all different directions? A lot of times perfectly good brushes get thrown away because they've frayed out and it feels like they can't be used anymore. So we're going to try some different techniques here to fix those brushes and kind of see maybe what technique tends to work the best. So some things that we're going to try out here. We're going to use hair conditioner, because what better thing to use on bristles than a conditioner to kind of condition those bristles back in place. We're also going to do baby oil, just regular baby oil. So that's something we're going to try out. We're going to also use Winsor & Newton brush cleaner and restorer on one of the brushes. See how effective that is. Lye soap, or you can do like a Chelsea lavender soap, something that's got a nice oily substance to it, and we're going to clean the brush out and leave it in for a little bit while it kind of reshapes those bristles. And then the last thing we're going to try, and I would say do this as a very last resort, and that would be boiling water. You don't ever want to clean your brushes with really, really hot water, because that boiling water, if it gets down into the ferrule down here of the brush, that can tend to loosen up the glue that's down in there that's holding your bristles in. So really, I've heard a lot of people say to use boiling water to try to fix those bristles. But like I said, I would do that maybe as a last resort. And if you do that, don't stick the bristles way down into where the ferrule is getting wet. Just do the bristles themselves. All right, so first of all, I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on. And I've got a little bit of water here just to get my brush wet whenever we go in to use the lye soap. All right, so I have this little container. It is metal. You do want to use a metal container or glass, preferably not plastic. And I think we'll go ahead and put some baby oil in one, and some of this Winsor & Newton brush cleaner in the other. The hair conditioner we can just pour on there and work our way in. So let's start with the conditioner. So these brushes have already been cleaned out, and I do have a more comprehensive video on cleaning your brushes if you want to check out my YouTube channel. Or if you're taking an online course with me, you can look in your bonus video library on cleaning up. So let's go ahead and get a little bit. This is just really any hair conditioner is going to work fine. So I just put a little dab of conditioner on the bristles. We're going to work those in and form those bristles, kind of reform those bristles back into shape. So I'm globbing it on there pretty good because we want to make sure that it's going to kind of work as a glue to hold those bristles in shape. All right, so here is my next brush. This one's pretty old, and you can see those bristles are pretty frayed. So we're going to take a little bit of baby oil And I'm making sure I really soak that baby oil all up into those bristles. So again, what we want to do is make sure we kind of pull those bristles into shape, tidying those up. I'm laying these brushes flat. You don't want to store them upright whenever they have a liquid in them. The same is true if you're done painting and you've got solvent in your brush, or even after you've cleaned those out and there's still water in there. That water can seep down into the ferrule and loosen those brushes. So anytime you're finished painting and your brushes are wet, you want to make sure you lay those flat. So we're trying to form these bristles together. It looks like it's still kind of sticking out. I'm going to get a little bit more, make sure it's seeping all down in there good, nice and thick. So we'll see, I don't know. All right, so the next step is the Winsor & Newton Cleaner and Brush Restorer. So once again, we're going to make sure that we get that down in there. And this is something you might have to kind of let it soak a little bit. This is supposed to work to loosen up any dried paint or anything that's in the ferrule. And some of these brushes, if you see that the bristles are not going back into their natural form, it could be that they have been damaged by maybe some really rough use. Maybe the bristles have been broken down at the ferrule, and so they're just not going to straighten up, which I think may be the case for this one. Okay, so our next test is going to be the lye soap. So I'm going to dip the brush into just some water. And we're going to use the lye soap and just gently work the bristles into the lye soap. And I'm doing this gently and kind of pulling the brush so that the bristles do not get out of shape. I want to keep the form of those bristles in the brush. Okay, so again, I'm going to pull that through my fingers, get a nice chiseled point. We'll let that sit for about 10 minutes or so. And then the very last thing we're going to do is this one that's pretty messed up. So we're going to dip this into the boiling water. And when you dip it in, you only want to leave it about 5 seconds. You can pull it back out so you can see it looks like the bristles are kind of starting to go back in. You can do it a couple of times. Keeping the majority of the time I'm leaving it in there, in the bristles and not in the ferrule of the brush. Again, trying to form those bristles back into shape. We got one stubborn one there. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it through the paper towel, not taking all the water out, but just kind of soaking up a little bit of that water, reshaping those bristles. And again, we're going to lay those flat to dry. And we'll come back in about 10 minutes or so and test them out again. All right, we're back. It's been about 10 minutes, and I've kind of let all of those different solutions sit in the bristles, and I'm kind of surprised at a couple of them did better than I expected. So first we have the hair conditioner, and this one, all of these I did go and I rinsed all of the solution out and did that with lukewarm water and kind of pulled it through with a paper towel. So the conditioner, it worked okay. There's still a little stray bristle or two that's in there, but it is in a little bit better condition than it was. And I bet if I left the hair conditioner in overnight, it might even do a little better, giving the bristles a chance to completely dry. With that conditioner in it, you being used as a glue, maybe it would have worked a little bit better, and I may try that out a little bit later. The baby oil, it actually worked okay. These bristles are still a little bit frayed, but like the hair conditioner, not as bad as it was, so it did help. I was really surprised with the Winsor & Newton Cleaner Restorer because I thought there was really no hope for this brush at all. Now you can see, if you look at it close up, you can see these little bristles that are sticking up, and that's because they were already like that. They had already been pulled from the ferrule of the brush, and so probably what I'll do with those is just the old school snippers. Just take some scissors, cut that off so that they're lower than the end of the bristles, and then this bristle brush is good to use again. Now I will say these bristles were really stiff before I cleaned them out with that brush restorer, and now they're nice and flexible and back to normal, so that worked really well. The other thing that I felt worked really well was the lye soap. So this round brush had lots of frayed out bristles, and I went and rinsed the lye soap out after it sat there for about 10 minutes, pulled it through a paper towel, and the bristles are still intact. So lye soap gets a thumbs up. And the boiling water actually kept these bristles in place. Again, I would use that one maybe as a last resort, but it looks like it worked really great. This brush is extremely old, and it's one of my old mural brushes, so it was used to paint on a textured wall, so it got quite beat up. So for those bristles to still be pretty much intact after dipping into boiled water, I will say the boiled water worked pretty well. So again, if you do that, make sure you're not dipping all the way down into the ferrule of the brush or leaving the bristles in the boiling water for more than 5 seconds at a time. So that concludes the experiment with the different methods that you can go about to help restore your brush. So we have the hair conditioner, which I think would work better if I left it in longer. The baby oil, you're not supposed to leave in really for longer than 10 minutes. That's what we did. It did okay. Again, these brushes are really old and frayed. The Winsor & Newton Cleaner Restorer did really awesome. I think that was probably did better than all the rest of them, including the lye soap. The lye soap was also really, really good. And the boiling water was the last one. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Subscribe to my channel for more helpful hints and tutorials.